Esteemed guests, I have the honor of not only being here, but introducing you to my father. This is Dr. Zachary Vosburg. He's a mixed animal practitioner in north central Iowa, and back in 1999, 26 years ago, he was part of the second ever group of Borlaug International interns, where he spent a summer working at the International Livestock Research Institute in Nairobi, Kenya.
Following that, I get to introduce my son, Isaac Vosburg, global citizen, probably the most popular student at Grinnell in the freshman class there at college, and he was at the SM Sehgal Foundation in India this past summer. So they've asked us to speak, and knowing the father-son team, I guess we're the first dynamic duo of the World Food Prize. And I think Norm would be awful happy. This is what he's looking for. One of the things that we want to probably touch base, or at least look at, is the differences between my experience and your experience.
26 years is an awful long time, and I think that speaks to the fact that these youth programs have been around for so long now. You can have a father who did this when he was my age, and you can have someone like myself who gets to look up to that, right? Who gets to understand the impacts of the World Food Prize, watching Iowa PBS every October to watch the Laureate Awards ceremony, right? And that was just another night, right? It was something that was ingrained, whether I realized it or not, into my childhood, and I think that I'm grateful for that. Such that when I was able to go off and have my own experiences, I could build off of the stories that you share.
When I was in high school, my idea of world hunger was fairly simple. As a teenage boy, when the refrigerator is empty, my world was hungry. I now have a much bigger, much more global sense of that. What caused you to want to follow or flip the script, depending on how you look at it, and do something that I did or similar to?
Yeah. I think that the biggest thing for me was looking at who in my life had been my role models. First off was you. I got to grow up hearing these stories of of you sitting down at the table at breakfast at Summit, reading the Scientific American to Dr. Norman Borlaug because his eyes weren't as good as they used to be. And I think that had a profound impact as I went and I started to create these experiences and opportunities for myself. One of the other big factors was we've been hosting exchange students since I was 5 years old. And that was through a connection that you had with the World Food Prize that we began hosting in the first place. Those were my older siblings. Those were my role models as well. And so my junior year of high school, I ended up doing the same thing in reverse. Did an exchange program sponsored through the U.S. Department of State. I lived in Malaysia. And while there, for 10 months, I got to live life on the other side of the world, experiencing things in an entirely new way. And I think that tore down all of my preconceived notions on the world, whether it be world hunger, poverty, water, all of these issues, right, that plague our planet. I came into that and I had to dismantle everything that I had known before, only to build that back up. And that started from you.
So my journey started with my ag advisor telling me I should get involved, thank you, Mr. Dean Dodd, with the World Food Prize. And once I was involved with that and went overseas, I realized there was a much bigger world. And that opened doors to working internationally in Ghana, in Kenya, in Nicaragua, in Mexico, most recently in Mongolia. And then when it came time to raise you, I decided that I probably should stop running around the world a little bit and probably raise kids. And so I still wanted to make the world a better place and change it for the better. So your mom and I started hosting foreign exchange kids. You learned from those exchange kids, then decided to go overseas, and now have done the World Food Prize.
Yeah.
So the bigger question then becomes, if we're on the same path, but just in different orbs,
Yeah.
where does it go from here?
I think it's a very interesting dynamic that for you, the World Food Prize was this first step, right? Whereas for me, it's been my latest step, being able to work in India, in the state of Haryana, with 3 different villages. We worked, me and my mentors, on creating these programs to implement in schools talking about vitamin A and eye health. And it was absolutely transformative for me because it was the first time that I had worked a real job that wasn't picking rocks in the field every summer or selling sweet corn on the side of the road. I was out doing something that I saw as a career for myself. This kind of service, right? This kind of, working to really make the world a better place, right? To be out in it. And for me, having that experience, to understand that this is something that I can do for the rest of my life, it's kind of set me down that path now to where I have a better understanding of the things that I want to do with my life, with my career, and that's thanks to the World Food Prize. How did those experiences for you kind of shape the way that you took your path moving forward from that? After, we both did this our senior summers, right? What were your takeaways from your time at ILRI?
It really opened my eyes to something bigger. I worked on an East Coast fever project at the International Livestock Research Institute. So I got to know ticks really well. I collected them, I painted them, I sexed them, I looked at different things. I got bitten by them a time or two, not without fear at that time. But it really cemented the fact that I did want to go into veterinary medicine. But instead of being tied to a county, a state, a nation, it allowed me to look at it in a bigger worldview. And that really allowed me to take chances and or to do things that I would not have otherwise done. And like I said, through connections, and the thing that you'll find is the world is a very large place, and yet a very, very small place all at the same time. And so through connections with the World Food Prize, then we went on, Mom and I, and like I said, have raised a herd, I don't know, group, passel, gaggle of foreign exchange students. We've had, 9 now?
9, yep.
And I look at things now, and I don't see global issues. I see global faces.
Yeah.
I see my kids.
I think that for me, growing up around that, understanding that, the word family encompassed more than just those people who happen to be biologically related to me, that the people that I called my brothers and sisters might not look the same as me, might not have the same faith as me, might not eat the same foods or share the same cultures or traditions. They might speak different languages. I think that was a beautiful thing to have growing up, to where whenever people asked, you introduce yourself. Oh, how many, it comes up. How many siblings do you have? And I go, well, actually, and I get the opportunity to share about what family has meant to us. And I think that that's an incredible thing, to have experienced the world in that way in rural north central Iowa, right? It's absolutely incredible what the connections that these youth programs have brought for both of us, and especially in my life. I know that I would not be where I am today without that, and I would not have this sense of purpose, this sense of drive that I see in myself now, that I aim to go out and do.
So, 26 years different. Any advice or parting thoughts for those that are trying to climb this, conquer this thing called world hunger, or for those that want to do this? I was lucky enough to watch Norm and others like him. I was lucky enough to read to him, spend time with him, learn how he liked his eggs in the morning, and things like that. I got to stand on the shoulders of giants, and I was pretty darn lucky.
Yeah.
And I owe that all to the World Food Prize.
I think that my advice from my experience would be don't be afraid to take your perspectives and your inspiration from the simplest of places. I think that it took a long time for me. I would always say that my siblings were my role models. It took a long time for me to come around to the fact that in reality, all that was driven by you. And I can say that confidently now, because I've seen the way that that's played out in my life. And so, as you go forward, notice those little things, the people in your life who make you who you are. How about you?
Whenever Norm and whomever dreamed up these youth programs, if he had anything like this in mind, I think you're a shining example of what he had hoped for. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.